welcome to the panel, Rave The Planet and Techno UNESCO Kulturerbe, which is, well, what is that in English? Kulturerbe?
Intangible cultural heritage.
Intangible?
Cultural heritage.
Cultural heritage.
Yeah.
ICH.
ICH, exactly. And well, we chose as a description for today, so you know, more or less, it's what is culture? Why is it so important? Past, present, and future. And why is it so important for society, individuals, artists, and economy? And then we will go deeper and deeper and deeper. And questions at the end, please. So yeah, let's get started. Who wants to start? Who has a point of view he wants to share?
Well, you can start everywhere. Yeah? You could say, in general, you talk about society and you talk about how to interact and what is going on at school. Do you hear me?
Yep.
And just the behavior of people between each other. This is what I would say. Yeah? How we communicate, how we talk to each other, yeah? How we deal with children inside of families, inside of groups, inside with groups we know, inside with groups we don't know. How do I work with myself, behavior with people you work with in a company or in a society or whatever. And I think there it starts, then it goes more inside and more precise, I would say.
Yeah, so you just mentioned like how we treat our children, you mentioned in culture. I know also how you treat your elders. That's also a lot, that's how your culture works. So yeah, that's very interesting how you define it. How would you define like culture or how it expresses itself?
Just like Dr. Motte said, it just shared values is culture pretty much for me. You know, like a people that kind of share the like kind of mores and how things work. You know, I think these things are very important and they're very important to also preserve. You know, because a lot of stuff kind of goes away with time. You know, and generations forget.
Gets lost.
You know, so that's part of what we are kind of working on with this initiative, is that we, so there are certain parts of club culture that are culture that should not kind of fade off with time and recognized as culture and history. You know, so that's kind of what I think. But I agree with Dr. Motte, basically.
All right. Anything to add on this side?
Yeah, so the word culture in itself, where it comes from, it also means to cultivate and to care for, and that's something that maybe fits here also very well, understanding culture not only as something that is fixed or that has to stay in a certain way, but that is always under a certain process that we have to care for also.
Something alive and evolving.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me it's, well, I studied actually cultural heritage, so that's why I was responsible for the heritage project at Rave The Planet. So in our study, discussing culture is a everyday topic basically, and we focus on cultural heritage in the aspect of international law, and as with our project with Rave The Planet, we focus on intangible cultural heritage practices such as Techno culture in Berlin. So for me, culture is like there is a clear division between material culture, or culture which is buildings or monuments, and intangible culture or materialis culture, which is everything that is intangible, from customs to traditions to languages to it's basically based on community, and even in the international laws and the UN conventions, all the definitions of culture focus that it's shared values, as a set of shared values practiced by a group of people. So culture has to be experienced within a group of people, as everyone already mentioned that. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I would like to add something because to me, if I look from the perspective of native people, I think they behave very natural in cultural togetherness, or how they keep their culture going, because they have rituals, yeah, and they have also not the perspective of I have to work now, because everything they do is for the community. And we are the so-called civilized, how you say,
It's civilized
society.
civilized
Yeah?
society.
And this is like, I think what we missed, and that's why we need the UNESCO and the Intangible Heritage, is like we have to look what we have as a culture. And I think we missed a little bit the natural thing what native people have, because they are natural, working for themselves. They have their culture, whatever it is. Yeah, they have their ceremonies, and also upbringing people and upbringing child, how they behave to elders and young people, and everything is pretty much organized to have this working for themselves and not for someone. Yeah, and this is what I like, and this is also what I like. What we have built up more than 30 years ago with electronic music culture, because I think this is a more direction of being natural, because you can be like you are and everyone is accepting that. And for this, for me, is something what we have is more natural than you have a boss and he tells you what you have to do.
That makes sense. So it's just to recap, it's kind of we lost our cultural values a little bit compared to the native ones, the native societies, and now we're learning again, kind of.
Yeah, we should listen more to native people, because if I see the history of United States, and then they bring in the native people of America, North America, and they say, look, what we do different to the white people taking over the country, we think about 7 generations ahead. So if I plant a seed of a tree, they will have the fruit of it. And this is what I like. Yeah? Also, it's like what I do here has a support for the future. That's why...
Visionary.
Yeah? Yeah, no, it's also like responsibility. Yes. Very much.
Yeah, I mean, this, as he talked about this, the whole idea of intangible culture heritage actually became an international document in 2003 with the UNESCO Convention for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage, because until that moment there was no legal document or international document that actually acknowledging culture, intangible cultures like the native, for example, the culture of the Native Americans or any smaller communities in Asia. Because up to that moment, our idea of culture was very European. It's all about building monuments. The Egyptians are great because they built the pyramids, but the African who lives in a tribal society they don't have a culture. So up to that moment, it was really a big discussion how the whole idea of culture should be redefined, and that's why this convention of UNESCO came in 2003. And based on this convention, we have today this legal document, which is called the list of UNESCO for Intangible Cultural Heritage. And that's what we aim for with the Techno Culture in Berlin project. And it's very interesting the kind of terminology they use for this culture. So for this convention, so they called it the UNESCO Convention for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage, because there's this word safeguarding was very important, because for a lot of these native communities or small communities, the idea of culture is never to freeze it and conserve it. It's something evolving, and but they call it safeguarding because it means these cultures are fragile, because they are based on daily practices, rituals, or any smaller stuff that cannot be freeze in time.
Can get lost.
Exactly. And that's why what Dr. Motte talked about with, we saw how during the last 30 years, even more than 30 years, since the the development of techno in Berlin, that we saw there was a lot of ups and downs, and it's a proof that how fragile is this culture in Berlin. And yeah, I mean, with Corona, we saw also, before that we had gentrification, but with the COVID pandemic, it was clear how fragile is our culture and how, I mean, everyone was out, and basically no one could be part of this culture with the pandemic and the effect it had on the techno culture in Berlin.
Yeah, now you're mentioning already the present, what's happening right
Yeah.
now, so it might be a good point to talk about how it was before. Like, anybody?
Okay, I was growing up in the city. I was born 1960, so I know it very much from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s until today. Yeah? So, and I see the change. Yeah, because I must say right now I'm disappointed about what investors built in Berlin. Yeah, it's like Amazon Tower, what? And RAW Temple, what? There, and it's like also what's going in Kreuzberg-Neukölln at Hermannplatz to rebuild the old Karstadt and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people unite and form a interest group, organizing societies and protest, because this is like changing the whole environment of those buildings. They cannot afford the rent or something like that. Yeah? And it will change everything. And this is what I see everywhere, because if you go to main station in the north, you see Heidestraße is like a complete area of new buildings, like raised in 2 years, something like that, a lot. And there's a new district now. But what I see and what's really missing is places for having culture, not even a cinema, not even like something where you can have a multiplex, whatever, yeah, like for a theater or for a lot of restaurants, or even like enjoy dancing and music and stuff like that. It's totally missing. And this is just for investors want to get the rent from the people live there and nothing else.
It seems very sterile, right? Steril. It's like, yeah, no cultures, nothing else going on than residents. Yeah.
And this is also like the authorities don't think about if you build a new building, how much or how big should the percentage be of put culture in the building? And even like an area like that, should be a lot of culture, because the people like to do something else and not just work and sleep and work and sleep and work and sleep and work and sleep and work.
Hopefully.
No, hopefully we have to fight for it, because it's our human right. I'm not here. I don't live to work for someone. No. Yeah? And also like all the problems we have, and that's why we have the UNESCO saying we need to protect the human rights. We need to protect intangible cultural things and stuff like that. Is because of the egoism on this planet. It's like money-based egoism. I want more. I want more. I want more. I want more and more. And people like. Or less people have more money than the majority, because the majority, and even like what we see, the situation right now is like the majority of people want to live in peace together. The minority, not. Yeah? But the government is a minority, because they are forced by a lobbyism of capitalism. That's it. So you have companies, you have insurance companies, you have banks and stuff like that, and they're all push that into this direction that we have a war now. Yeah, because we have the Western society, we have the Eastern Bloc, we have the Russia, KGB, and we have NATO, and they fight in Ukraine right now.
So now, but you're also talking already about the present. How does that compare then to the Berlin before? If it's now like that, we have this gentrification and the Hauptbahnhof area being what it is now. And
West Berlin was surrounded by the iron fence. Yeah, so we couldn't go out. But if you get born in a city with a fence, or with a wall, or with a high wall, it's something like in Dark Age or medieval times. Yeah, you live in a protected city, and that was okay for us. And it was even like the way of life was really easy. Yeah, the rent wasn't that high, and everything was cheap because it was supported by tax money, and from Western countries they supported the city because we needed this in the red bloc, yeah, like in the GDR, like it was Russia and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but for us, it was easy going. There was no army, and everything was easy, really easy, and that's why we could like do what we like to do, art, or be free and do music or whatever. And working was not the first point because everything was easy.
All right, sounds good.
That's how it was.
Yeah, I think, sorry, the whole space situation was very different. Like, I was not there at that time, but after the wall fell, there were a lot of spaces that were unused, which was the perfect moment, of course, also for people to reinvent these spaces and to reinterpret these spaces. And I think that was the special thing in Berlin that could allow even techno to rise in this way and to develop in this way.
A very fertile ground for good ideas.
I noticed that a lot of former indie spaces that were just kind of taken over for, like art galleries and events, and have now basically been, kind of subsumed, and they're now for profit. I mean, just in the short time I've lived here full time in Berlin, I've seen many spaces just disappear. I've been here. This is year 8 of me being here full time, and I've seen many like artistic or creative spaces just kind of disappear. And now they're actual shops, which themselves come and go, But it used to be that you could just get a space and have a art show, or have a happening, and people would come, and and everyone was kind of independent in that way, But now it's less, and the new Berlin allows for less and less of these things, and then a lot of club venues, of course, have disappeared as well. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed that just in the short time I've been here full time.
And also the city get more dense because of the investors building buildings and more properties, and everything gets more closer to the venues we have, yeah? And that causes noise problems to the people living there, and that causes what people living in the buildings closer to the clubs, and we have had that in Kreuzberg with SO36, where they had to put up raise a wall for cutting out noise, because there was one guy, just arrived in that flat near to SO36, and he said it's too noisy, and that he came from Stuttgart, or it was also like Kastanienallee. There was also one guy said, I move in this flat now, and it's across from Schwarzauer, And then he complained about noise, people standing in front of the street. And the case was, at the end, it came out like when he rented this or bought this, he knew that Schwarzauer was there. And that after 10 o'clock in the evening, people standing in front of the bar having a good time. So it's a little bit noisy. If you don't like it, he can go somewhere else. So he knew it, and this is everywhere. But now we have a new situation. We have more buildings, more buildings. This city has less and less free spaces for people to enjoy themselves or create something, being creative. And this is more and more fading away. If you look, especially at the Mercedes-Benz area, we had something voting for keep this area free, at least at the place where we can walk near the Spree and stuff like that. What's going on? We put buildings. No one cares. So we need actually more protection for free space, like parks. And also like protect trees, and also plant more trees, because as a city is less and less trees. I think minimum 10,000 trees are missing. And what I just discovered at the Sparkasse, the bank Sparkasse, is planting trees right now because the city is not.
Well, that's a good sign.
And more,
Sparkasse, I guess. Wow. We came to that point.
And also... And also visitors come to Berlin and they see this city is dirty. It's so dirty. Streets are so dirty. Is no one cleaning? What is going on here? It's really dirty.
But see, that's good, because then they won't stay. They can go home. I'm a foreigner and I'm telling people to go home.
Yeah.
I see the irony, guys. So.
Yeah.
Bloody tourists.
Right.
But what Alan was talking about, the loss of space, is actually quite interesting because for me, it's not only about techno culture in Berlin, but in general, all like alternative. Berlin has been always like, because I spent 1 year reading about the history of music in Berlin, more with special focus on electronic music in Germany. And Berlin has a special character always to attract alternative culture or subculture, whatever you call them, but cultures which are not mainstream. And this has been going on since the 20s, actually. But with since the fall of the wall, and we see this is changing more and more, and there's less space for all subcultures, starting from like techno to any other, whether it's musical culture or any type of other alternative culture. And yeah, I mean, the gentrification seems to be the biggest challenge, but also there are on other levels, there's, so the example he had of someone complaining about the music. So as a club owner or someone who owns a venue, you have to not only, like you have to fight to pay to stabilize your rent. You have to have special permits to control the noise. You have to have like certain opening hours. So also the regulations for the government doesn't make it easy for people to sustain this culture or to keep doing this culture again. And in the 90s, maybe the idea of having a club was not, people could do raves in a lot of places, but nowadays you can see there is like a lot of people in the scene who say, oh, we want techno to go underground again, or we worked on getting techno underground again. And because they feel like this culture can be only nowadays, because there is no more empty spaces, can be only experienced in like certain venues and controlled. So it kind of takes some of the spirit of the original techno, which was basically something spontaneous and yeah, so for me, it's really interesting to see this underground techno movement, and also the mainstream. I can see this clear. There is like a mainstream techno, and there is a underground techno movement, and both are trying to take it into different direction. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Interesting theory. Interesting theory.
Yeah, it's just based on my observation. And we talked to a lot of people as part of the UNESCO project. We interviewed a lot of people because we had to. I was part of a team with my colleague Felicitas, who are not here with us today. So we were we were really careful that we are not writing anything in this application form. We are just the voice of the people, more like. Just collect ideas and thoughts and just put them in a form. Try to have as much as our influence on it. And from talking to different people, from like interviewing our own team from Motte, and to other people like who are from the starting up just in the scene as DJs or organizers, you hear so many different ideas and so many different they have like really different ideas of how they see the situation. Some are optimistic, some are pessimistic. Some believed that techno was dead actually, as the 90s, a good friend of us, he said so. And he had his reason. He said like the techno we have today is not the original culture. And what you are trying to save, it's not what we had before. And so, yeah.
Well, this is always changing, because this is like that from the beginning. Techno was, or even like house music, and what came out of that, house music, acid house, and techno and acid and stuff like that, was from the beginning transnational, and it was not just Detroit, not just Chicago, not just Ibiza, not just Berlin. It was always transnational, and everyone could join from the beginning. It was free for everyone. Yeah? So because you could use a monophonic little synthesizer in the drum machine, and that's it. Yeah, put the sound on a tape deck and put it to a record label and make a vinyl out of that. That easy. Yeah, and everyone was welcome. So it was not just owned by a certain group of people, no, from the beginning. And this was like the explosion from the new culture arrived to Berlin as well. Yeah, it was like '88 when we did acid house parties already. Yeah. But what I also like to focus on is because of noise problems is music noise? Is music noise? So we have to find out when is music disturbing. Yeah. Is music disturbing, or is it just I want to sleep now? It's so noisy outside, or something like that?
Well, there is this, as far as I know, there is this definition. If the sound is organized, it's music. If it's unorganized, it's noise. But I don't know if those people would go for that.
Yeah, I would say if they don't go with that, we need a society that is educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to actually tell or discuss in our society what is noise and what is music, and what is art and what is culture. We have to discuss that. Yeah, and then we have to wipe out music from the noise law, yeah, the protecting noise law from Germany. This is also what Mark Wohlrabe also said. Yeah? He is totally with music is not a noise, not at all.
But he says this because he's deaf. It's actually the first time I met him, he said, you have to scream in my ears. And I said, why? He said, I'm deaf because of Motte.
Because I'm screaming a lot.
No, because he said he was like at that time, he was every day partying in the 90s, and he was telling me how they didn't really care about. He always made sure to stand next to the speaker as the closest as possible.
Yeah, but basically it's noise complaints, and we have, if we really look forward, yeah, if we really like to keep that going, what Club Commission also investigated, that we have 1.5 billion euros changeover in the city just because of the whole cultural thing is going on, then we really need to protect the event places everywhere, all locations. We have to protect them and tell the people around, sorry, this is music, this is art, this is culture.
This is what I don't understand.
You have to cope with that. Yeah?
Berlin knows. Berlin, the city knows how much they need it and how much it's good for the city in the economic sense. So why don't they protect it as it should be protected?
Ask the politics, they're doing the law. So we have maybe, I don't know, we have to discuss this. We have need maybe to set up more societies bringing this to the awareness of everyone.
I mean,
push the envelope.
The problem is that's why we started this project with this. We wanted to have some kind of a protection for the techno culture, because the whole idea of this UNESCO recognition is that is raising awareness. And for me, I think the main problem a lot of people see, well, including my parents, oh, so you're into techno. How long is that gonna last before you drops out of it? So a lot of people doesn't see it as a this is as a lifestyle. It's a culture. It's not just listening to the music. It's the way you dress. It's the people you hang out with. It's the places you go to. When I go to an event, I see like the faces I know. I know this. I feel comfortable in a certain event. Oh, I know these people. They are ravers. There is a own crowd. And somehow everyone recognizes each other. And for me, the main problem is like I think a lot of people doesn't know this is a culture actually. They think it's just
That's what they said at the beginning. It's this will pass like any other fashion, but it's still around 30 years after. So it's kind of.
Yeah.
And what I also see why the others don't understand the culture, saying this is bad or something like that. Yeah? But we techno guys never say this is bad music. Never. Yeah, because they can do what they like. Yeah. And we like what we do.
Yeah, and it's also not just the music; it's the whole aesthetics also that was created around techno. It's like, yeah, also visual artists and flyers that were created already in the 90s. There was like the flyers were really cool and really creative what they did, and there is this still today. And also the whole techno aesthetics also really influenced what you would call high cultural, high fashion. Like I was walking in Kudam some time ago and watching like all these really expensive clothes, and at some point I was like, this looks like raver clothes, just made, you know, changed a bit, but yeah, just expensive, yes.
Exactly.
But you could see that the inspiration was definitely taken from this underground culture.
Yeah, it is. Now you see more and more fashion. Like, I have some friends who has a techno party series, and basically the clothes they do is like they take a new clothes and they destroy it, and you know, just they call it punking it up. So I mean, and now you see this thing they do on their own. It's like do it yourself. But then you see brands like Balenciaga like doing these. I don't know how many thousands it cost. Which people here do. I mean, you know, for them it's like something to make us more different, like the rest. But now it's kind of also getting out to becoming a mainstream to the.
But I don't think that's something bad. I think it's it's something beautiful also that and also maybe high and underground culture are not that far apart in the end, or not to be seen as something really against each other, but something that influences each other. And I think that can be productive for both.
Sure. Inspired, at least. Inspired. Yeah. So, who's next? We took like a turn around in many directions. Is there another point that you would like to make stick out, since our time is not infinite today?
Yeah, it's interesting if we look back to the last 2 years and what huge damage we got in the electronic music culture, and especially in the event culture anyway. Yeah? So I got the information that 80% of everyone working in the event business just left during the pandemic and never come back, because they need to pay the costs they have, and they need security, and they didn't get it anymore. Because if there are no events, they cannot get any money, because building up is not there anyway, and like that. And so you can say 80% are never coming back, and the rest of the 20% is booked out fully, totally. So we really have no trained workers. It's hard to get right now. Yeah. So this is also what we are planning with setting up the Love Parade Spirit with Rave The Planet Parade in July. It's a very small team, yeah, working on it right now, and it's a lot of work. Really a lot of work. And this is not only us, it's also like festival makers like the Fusion, very little amount of people doing this. And everywhere, yeah? And they are doing mostly everything alone, and this is like working, and they can like be something like get an illness from that, yeah? Like get no energy from that, and then get sick for a long time, yeah?
So you're saying we're missing right now skilled labor in the event industry?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, anybody looking for a job? There's a lot to do. No, but it's true, yeah. It's a thing also in the service industry right now. There's nobody to be found because they learned other jobs, and yeah.
And we have to think about how to protect that for the future. So if that comes back, how will the culture be in Germany? So I think we should come together and find some solutions out of that. Yeah? So we have this experience right now, and we see a lot of festival makers have problems because skilled workers are not there, or that many. It's like maybe also we have to do start from the beginning, like do it yourself, more like that, and get trained by that. But this is like a problem for the future.
But the problem in the service and in the event industry was always hard work, long hours, on the weekends, and usually not that well paid. So people left because of those reasons during times where there was no jobs, learned other things. So I think the underlying problem would also be make it maybe more attractive nowadays, if we can learn anything out of that. Because in Berlin, when they looked at actually what happened in the restaurants here in Berlin, they saw that nobody was paying taxes. Everybody was working black. When they would receive the money from the government, they couldn't show what they were spending because they weren't paying like taxes and things. So you saw actually the state of the economy, and this is for events, this is for clubs, this is for restaurants. It's just not sustainable. It was not sustainable. So it wouldn't even be in the future. So now I think it would be an opportunity maybe to make things better, to attract all the people again, because this is really hard.
On the other hand, we have a changeover of 1.5 billion in the city because of that. So if you say the restaurants and clubs and so don't pay enough taxes or stuff like that, but we still have a changeover in the city.
No, I mean, they didn't declare properly the people taking the jobs, so they didn't have to pay all the taxes and benefits on top. So the numbers were just totally wrong.
Yeah, maybe they pay too much because you have to pay and pay and pay and pay. It's not only tax; it's also like other like GEMA and you have GVL and stuff like that. There's a lot of money you have to pay, even like the rent, the power, and workers and side costs and stuff like that. It's really
That's
a
what
lot.
I'm saying. The system is like it's really hard.
It's too expensive. Yeah. I think other countries are more or less like with taxes and is more supportive for. Like if you go to Holland, it's a different situation. There was one club called, or still is there, but they moved from the original place, Dornrosier. I was there at the last week and something playing there, and they told us we have a new building built on tax money, a proper building on tax money. Yeah, so they could move from the squatted building to a new event area. Yeah? Built by tax money. I like that very much.
That would be nice.
Yeah. And this is also what Dimitri Hegemann is saying, because he was to a conference of mayors of Germany, and he said, actually, techno brings peace to the people. Why not have in every town or city have a club paid by tax money, yeah, where people find peace? Yeah.
Like some
Okay,
others
like
go
a
to the
church.
church.
Yeah,
I heard that.
I was thinking of Techno church.
I like that very much because this is something like building up a future with people love to make music. It is very natural. Also, now we have something like a ring. We come back to the natural thing. Yeah, and also we are social beings. We like to come together and dance together or have a good time. And why not support this with tax money?
We always used to dance. To celebrate, to heal, for the rain, for so.
And that depends on the upbringing. If you have parents they don't dance, the children will not dance either, or they have friends that dance or do something opposite to the parents. But
And this is why the culture has to be protected.
Yeah.
Right there. That's the whole idea of the invisible heritage.
Yeah.
You know, just to keep.
Yeah, but it's not only the protection itself. You need education to the society. You have to tell them what it actually is, and it is everything.
Yeah.
Techno, yeah, because I can read a huge list what I write down. Hang on, it's what we actually inspired by just starting from just do it yourself music, yeah, and out of that came a lot of more new music and electronic culture. Then, because it was a counterculture to the major music on the radio and stuff like that, and a lot of new DJs discovering that music and love to play it, because there are a lot of new publishers because of artists doing music, a lot of distributors for just electronic music. It still is. A lot of new clubs in Berlin, everywhere. Nearly new yearly happening festivals everywhere on the planet. In Germany, a lot. New music studios, new electronic instruments, new music software developers, new music schools. Where are we, yeah? And it's because of that, because it's like inspiring a lot of people doing something too, like make music and stuff like that. New magazines, new designs and fashion, new dance styles, inventing new ways of demonstrating in the streets, yeah, like Love Parade, yeah. This was like also like inspiring other people in other countries to do the same thing, having a music demonstration, not against, for, yeah, ourselves, for a better future. New record shops, new music fairs, like we have just ending Super Booth, yeah, is only looking on electronic music. Very good. New vinyl pressing factories. And also in the 90s, Germany has been a world champion on exporting vinyl records to the whole planet. Yeah?
Are
like
there more record plans now? Is it possible to plan to do more records because there's a shortage of record pressing plants?
No, it's blocked by majors because they selling vinyls in the 70s. In the 80s, they started with CD, then MP3, and now vinyl again. Yeah, so they buy the art of the artist and now selling it for time.
But is it like the old machines, or is it like already they're setting up new, as a new business coming in? Because I think that's necessary.
Whatever existing press vinyl press factories blocked by majors because they want to have
sold out. Yeah.
Sold out. Yeah. So, and the rest, last what I have is annual sales in Berlin amounting 1.5. I said that already. So it's actually a lot of things, yeah. Even like fashion design, yeah, graphic design, and you can go forever. It's all culture out of that. Yeah, we started, or it was starting in Chicago with DJ Spanky and DJ Pierre and Marshall Jefferson in the studio, yeah, doing the session, and then it became a vinyl, and it went global, and it inspired a lot of people. What? No studio, just those two machines? I want to do that too. Everywhere, yeah, and out of that came a massive culture. Like from now we have Tomorrowland, stuff like that. It's like huge productions from just go there, have a little power generator and do it in a park. Everything, yeah.
I think what they talked about the community and skill worker. For me, the main problem was that we always talk about, we know there is something called the techno community, but we saw that ourselves during this heritage project, that when we try to bring people together, you know, it's the idea of having techno recognized as a culture by UNESCO seems nice to everyone, but apparently it's not. It's really hard to convince some people that we should work together in order to reach one goal. And this in the techno scene, or in the techno community, it's hard to actually pin down where is the limit of this community and where does it like ends and where does it start. So for me personally, the problem was always like trying to prove to UNESCO that we are a community. I know we are a community, and I know they're my people and who I see it. But how to present it to people to see, like, look, we are a community, because it's really easy with native culture to present it. Oh, this is a community, you know, they are speaking a language. They have similar clothes, which we all have these, like, we have more or less our...
Same characteristics so far.
But just the idea of bringing these people together on one cause, for me, it felt that I felt there was something missing here. And some people were really enthusiastic and really, you know, oh, this is great. But some big names, like a big organization, for example, like the Club Commission, who were not very optimistic about this, like this project or this initiative. And it made me wonder who's really, like, who's part of the community and who's not, and where, like, who can call himself, like, I'm part of this culture or community. Because I saw some people who are in it and they are not working for, like, the benefit of this community. And this thing, the problem for me was to always tell people, what does this recognition of UNESCO mean? So it's, a lot of people thought it's like, we're afraid it's called commercialize techno or bring it too much in the mainstream. But I always try to explain that this is just to to raise awareness, just to tell people who we are there, just to, make ourselves known. And the rest comes from you, from the communities. You come up with the rest of them, like the initiatives.
And I heard something funny. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
Someone said, I'm not sure who it was, but someone said the UNESCO protection for electronic music culture in Germany will put this into more commercialize the culture. I don't understand that. Because the UNESCO want to protect culture and not to make more profit out of that. Yeah. No. So, but it's something, what I heard is something around here.
Rumors.
And,
I don't know.
And it's not what the UNESCO want and what we want from the people. I mean, we live in a world money-based, yeah, and we have to earn money. But to tell that this will cause more commerce, something like that. My English is so bad. I'm sorry.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the meaning and the heritage is obviously more important than the commercial success of it. Of course, the people that make the music have to get paid as well. Yeah. But I don't think anybody of us is in it for the money, at least in the beginning, and then later I don't know. But
but also being in it, the idea is like I had this article. I don't know the author, but the title was commercialization, not over commercialization. So the author was arguing, and it was one of the main arguments I always used in the UNESCO application, that commercialization in itself should not be frowned upon and should not be seen as something bad, because it's something natural. Comes when you have a community, you have to sustain that community. The bad thing is when you over commercialize and you lose your cause and your values in the process. It's not totally normal to clubs to make profit, for DJs to get paid a lot. So that's all legitimate. But once you get into seeing it, oh, it's just something I do for the money, there, it's bad. And I don't know what is so bad about making profit and sustaining your life, because how can you stay in this culture or in this techno scene without making any profit? I mean, in the end, you have to sustain your life. It's good that you do it if you can to do it on your own. Amazing, but for a lot of people, like they don't have the chance to. So I know a lot of DJs who are really talented, but they just don't have the time to play or record or produce anything because they are so busy with their other, they call it our shitty jobs. And because they see their job in the techno, like as a DJ, more as the real job, but they just don't have the time to spend on it because, and for some DJs, it's also they are so worried about, oh, am I going commercialize or am I becoming too commercial? So I think there's always in the techno scene is always this talk about commercialization, and
that was always there. Yeah,
it has been there for.
But you're right. I don't think it's wrong to charge for what you do.
Yeah,
everybody has to make money, and there's a certain point where you just realize this is not anymore about anybody making their living. There's something else involved. Yeah. We know those kind of places. I think also. Yeah. So but what is the outcome? So what should we do? What's the idea?
The idea was 3 years ago to set up a non-profit company. To bring the spirit back, the spirit of Love Parade, as a techno parade back to Berlin. Because it was influencing a lot of people, and it was also very attractive to many people to come to Berlin to that thing. And why not set up a new parade and do that on a donation-based thing? And we started 2 years ago in January. We got public and had a press conference and said, look, we are here now. We'd like to set it up as a donation-based company. Everyone can give a little money, and we set up a little figure on a model we set up, like this, how the street was looking like when the parade was in the park, yeah? And at the end, it was like 2 months later, the pandemic starts, and we didn't get any money anymore because everyone was like, no, I keep their money now.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, it was very bad at the end. Yeah, so but now we decided after 2 years waiting and preparing in March, we said, let's do it. Let's bring it back. So we are now really into making it. We said we have 20 floats. We announced it to the city. It will be 9th of July. I have a poster here. I can show that.
This year.
This year.
Yeah.
This year. Yeah, and I like that very much because we have had the Super booth. Now we have this conference, yeah, MDE. I like that very much, and then the follow-up is a celebration of the music. So it's like a nice chain, yeah. And let's keep that going, yeah. Keep that going. I like that very much. Yeah? So we should come together and talk about how we maybe support each other, stuff like that. Because what I like is, and this is what I like on techno culture anyway, and also what I liked in punk culture when I was a punk in late 70s for a couple of years. We work together. And why not cooperate and share everything? Yeah, this is something like that is a better future. And why not show how beautiful the culture is? Yeah, and I would like to invite everyone at 9th of July. We start at Kurfürstendamm and have a 7-kilometer march with 20 floors with music on. We will have some speeches every hour with like people we invited. And if you like to have more information, you can go to www.ravetheplanet.com and also make a donation to bring that to the streets. Thank you.
All right. I think, yes, the other way around maybe, is it?
That's it, you have to.
Maybe you can hold. And we are a very small team, and I must say, Ellen Dorsch-Röing is doing a very great job, and Claudi Schneider doing booking for me is also doing a great job. We are a very small team, and Thomas and so on is really hard work right now to set that up, and I really look forward to put that back to the streets. Thank you. Yeah, we call this Rave the Planet parade because the brand La Parade got sold in 2005 to a private person, and he's selling like it now, the brand now to fashion companies, and this brand is burned now. So we said the vision from the beginning was let's have this every year. This will inspire other countries to have this parade as well. And one day will come, we have in all countries electronic parades, electronic music parades. And one day will come, all people dance on these parades, and then they will discover maybe we're all part of the same family, and then it will bring back.
The same day?
Maybe.
Or can it?
Maybe.
Is there wiggle room?
No. In their countries, they do this. So, like, why not join all the people on this planet, and maybe they will discover we are all part of the same family, and this will bring world peace.
That would be cool.
I mean,
this is the vision behind that. Yeah. By dancing together as humans.
Yeah, it could be Techno International Day. There is like a lot of cultures has their international day where all around the world. Aspects of this culture are celebrated. Actually, that was one of the goals that we had at Rave the Planet. And for me, I think the whole idea about the Love Parade, so when I joined Rave the Planet, the main focus with me was the Heritage Project, but also the idea of the Love Parade in Berlin. I think it's a huge proof, or like a tool we can use for to prove to UNESCO that we have a follower. And it's not only the people who go to clubs and raves are our follower, but we are bigger than this. And something like a demonstration or a parade will greatly influence that. And as much as people show up, it will prove to the German UNESCO Commission that we are actually not a small community. And yeah, so activities like a parade or on a bigger level are really important to show how big you are, and it's a chance for all the people to come once a year to gather and celebrate together their culture.
And we are not like a club. We show the club culture, but you have not a bouncer in front, yeah? So you're welcome to just come, everyone. Yeah? Even
Not
like
tonight,
wheelchair,
not
no
tonight.
problem.
Actually,
Wheelchair, no problem. Religion, no problem. LGBTQ, what and so on, no problem. So you can come as you are. You're welcome.
actually, that was
Let's dance together and cultivate peace by dancing together. Yeah, this is what we need. Not fighting each other, not putting bombs and so on. Let's come together and dance, because music speaks all languages and everyone understands music. This is all my mantra. Yeah, and why not come together and celebrate? We are all humans. Because
no, I just had the one. He talked about inclusivity, and for me, that's also a topic that we talked about it before. Because for us, like this, the idea of bringing back this or making it more visible that actually techno is inclusive. And unfortunately, I see a lot of these days that it's like some people claim that this culture is not inclusive. And one of the main criteria by UNESCO is to prove that you are inclusive and inviting for everyone. And for me, it was always a challenge because the picture of a club rejecting people at the door, it's not a good propaganda for this culture. So it was always like in festivals and parades or in demonstration, it's actually also a great proof that this culture can be inclusive and for everyone. Yeah, exactly. So.
And on the other hand, you have people, they don't understand it, and they also want to go inside and disturb. And for this, you need a bouncer to protect that.
Makes sense as well.
Yeah, because you have a lot of drunken people in Berlin. Yeah, they come for something else and not for dancing. So it's okay for protecting, but it should be also always be nice. Protecting should be nice. Yeah.
When you say no, you say it in a nice
Against the people, it's for the people inside. Yeah.
We talked before this, and I mentioned that I actually did a La Paz parade in Bolivia, where I grew up. When La Paz is the capital, that was inspired by your love parade. So we did something like that. A free event on the street, like no fights for a whole day. There was no fight. 6,000 people, not that big, but still it was for free. So yeah, the spirit goes a long way, and I think we can do that all around the world. It shouldn't be a problem.
Of course, why not?
All right. Any more insights, questions, thoughts, please?
Yeah, hi. I have a question.
Wait for the microphone. We want to hear it also and record it for anybody who can make it today. There you are. Hold your thought. There you are.
Hi, I have a question for Alan Oldham. I would love to know, as a guy from Detroit, you experienced the rise and fall of the Detroit techno scene. How can you compare this with the situation in Berlin? And comparing this, where are we standing right now, in your opinion?
You know, it's two different dynamics. What's going on in Detroit and what's going on here. But I mean, the thing in America is that, I mean, for me, rap and hip hop took over America, so dance music kind of died out. I mean, dance music was big in the early 90s, but then it kind of went down. And a lot of people in the States don't take this music seriously, I mean, I take it as serious as jazz or reggae. Which is, these are indigenous cultural musics, that are protected by the way,
reggae is already
by
part of
invisible
the
heritage.
Can I ask a question? What about soul music?
I'm answering this lady's questions first, sir. So, but I think that what's going on in Berlin is just quite a different dynamic than what's going on in the States. In Berlin, for me, it's just the kind of incursion of, outside money and investors and, my personal thing is, startup bros and tech bros, and they come to town and they destroy everything. So this to me, from what I see, is really what's going on here, and the specific culture here in Berlin, in my opinion, has to be protected at all costs. You know what I mean? That's why I'm really with this initiative. You know, but to answer your question, I think it's two separate dynamics that I can't even discuss in this short time. So,
Apples and pears. Apples and pears.
yeah.
Yeah. Was that okay? Did that answer your question? Yes. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? If you want, shoot. Is there more?
Anybody else?
So my question relates to the relevance of like confining the protection of that culture to techno, because I feel like everything that you've mentioned so far is relevant to like rave and club culture as a whole, and not just confined to Berlin. These issues are happening everywhere in like all these big cities, in London, everywhere. And it's not necessarily confined to techno. I just wanted to know if there's a relevance to just confining it to that, and if if it's more maybe a better idea to enlarge that definition to club and rave culture, so that protection can apply to whatever change can happen within that culture, musically, culturally, as it changes, as it seeps into like the mainstream as well. And yeah, just wanted to know about that.
Well, I don't. What?
Yeah, because this is a question we had. Are you asking if this protection, for you, is like when you say technoculture protected, you mean it's because a lot of people when hear something needs protection, they think it's like we have to protect it at this current stage. And actually, that's why I said safeguarding, because safeguarding means you grow with it and the protection grow with it, and it's change all the time. And of course, I believe right now, if you ask me again, what would you do about this project, I would tell, in my opinion, I think intangible cultural heritage does not need international law to be saved. If it's meant to live, it will live. But since we have this tool in our hands, so why not use it, like for techno, for example? And a lot of people are doing this for their culture when they feel threatened. No one thought about making hip-hop intangible heritage because it's not threatened. But with techno, it's quite fragile, and just focusing on it by focusing on techno, it's that we are focusing on techno because of that reason.
Okay.
Let me just. I think we did get wrong your question, because I think this is the thing of definition.
Yes. So basically, yeah, it was more like why specifically techno rather than like rave and club culture.
Or electronic music.
That's
yes, in terms of like specific genre.
Yeah.
Rather than like the culture as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think also that it wasn't meant to save techno. When you say techno,
exactly,
I think it stands for electronic music. That's what I understand. Is that right?
So when we started the project, actually, the idea was first discussed 10 years ago, even older, maybe between Motte and Hans Cousteau, who's also, we should give some credit for, because he inspired us to come after this idea of getting techno culture as intangible heritage. It was, so the idea behind it, wait, I lost my thought.
Well, it wasn't, we were talking about the definition, because we talked techno, and then it might stand for a lot of things, not just techno.
So when I met Motte for the first time, Motte said electronic music in Germany. And of course, at that time, I told him, look, I have to...
You?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Just checking the facts.
Yeah,
because it's so diverse. It's I include house music with it.
No, of course. I'm just
everything.
asking. I think so too.
Just a genre.
I know.
And I had a hard time convincing him that is not, that's impossible. First, electronic music, it's something so big, and just if you type down genres of electronic music, you get this huge charts with all the genres, sub-genres, sub-sub-genres. It's so hard to track all of them. That's the first one. And then some of them are already not in like more or less dead, so or not in use anymore. That's one thing. The other thing is that unfortunately the criteria for UNESCO, it's what determined what term we used. So we went from electronic music in Germany to techno music in Germany to techno culture in Germany, and then scale it down to techno culture in Berlin. Because unfortunately the German system for cultural heritage forces us to apply through one state, because Germany is a federal country. And for that, the application form has to be applied from the specific state. And in the application form, there are up to 13, 14 sections. And each section, you have a limited character to describe the question, which is sometimes it's 10 questions in one sentence.
That's so German.
So we were forced to focus on techno culture in Berlin. Of course, techno means the genre itself, and for a lot of people in Germany, it means electronic music. But our focus is on techno music, because more or less in the application form, we cannot include all the genres. So we had to focus on the techno, because also techno is much more clear as a sound in Berlin than the other genre of electronic music, more or less. I mean, I know a lot of people from house will fight me so badly over this, but techno has more like a bigger image or bigger followers in Berlin.
So basically, this whole thing got narrowed down, squeezed into something
because of law.
Bureaucracy.
Exactly.
But I know for a fact, by experience, that like all the electronic music, it does the same thing to people.
Yeah.
So the culture is the same.
Yeah,
When
it is the
dance,
same.
it brings us together, it
Yeah.
makes us smile, it makes us feel
Exactly.
better or not. That depends. But
So
this
you
is
can
like
imagine
kind of,
our
there's a
dilemma.
conflict I
Yep.
see, and very stupid, very German. But what hell? At least we got that.
Yeah, but that's why we were forced to scale it down. But within this the title says Techno Culture in Berlin. Within this title, we included so for us, techno culture stands for everything connected to techno, whether it's club culture, only one aspect of it. Raving culture, you can, whatever, these all names are part of this techno culture. So we use techno culture in Berlin as an umbrella to include everything that is connected to techno. And then we had techno culture in Berlin also to be aware of the origins of techno, because techno or electronic music in general is very hard to track and pin down to an origin. So what we said in Berlin, that we just think in Berlin, techno culture has a different story and a different development. It doesn't mean it's specific to Berlin or came from Berlin. It just means here it survived, it's special, that's it. So, and all of this again is because of the bureaucracy.
Well, but at least, now we defined it, now we know techno can stand for all the other things,
Yeah.
but on paper it's that.
Exactly.
We're fighting the fight, it's okay. Yeah, see?
Up to you.
Yeah, beautiful. Anything
Like
else? Any more questions? Sorry. Thank you, by the way, for the question.
Yeah.
That was very good.
That was a good
Actually, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Motte for still keeping the spirit alive, and for still fighting for, I don't know, freedom, equality, love, and passion. And
Pancakes.
I think that's all what it's all about. So thank you.
Thank you very much, but when I look what's really going on, it's not me. It's I'm just one
Everybody.
guy, and it's like so many people.
Exactly,
everywhere.
everybody. Yeah.
Everyone. And we all share the same spirit. Love, peace, unity, respect, diversity, and so on.
That's what it is all about.
And this is what I like, what Dimitri Hegemann says. Techno is peace. I like that very much.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we can leave it on that note, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you for showing up, and thank you for all of you.